Hello, and welcome back to Mortals and Portals, a Pathfinder Real Play podcast. I'm your host and GM, Zach, and joining me at the table is...
Adam, and I play Jhuls, an Azarketi bard.
I'm Joel, and I play Dax, a kobold rogue.
I'm Ryan, I play Tuff, an automaton inventor.
I'm Taryn, and I play Waltz, a human champion.
That's right, good job, everybody.
Nice
Hey,
and clean.
last time on Mortals and Portals, Waltz, Dax, and Tuff stormed the beach of the Castle of Star Sea while they were getting shot at by shard rifles. People even pulled out mortars to try and blow you guys up. And
Good
basically
luck.
your plan is to seek shelter in the castle for the Merc Vein that's definitely going to show up. And also you want to attack the castle, so it seems like you're legitimately trying to gain access into Caverna de Luz, further fueling the distraction that you, Tuff, have the Flora de Vida, so that Jhuls can, sneak his way in there himself.
Yes, indeed.
Exactly
that was our plan.
what we were talking about.
Totally not what Joel and I were like forgetting was the plan all along.
Yeah. I'm helping you guys out. I know Ryan never pays attention. It took him a long time to even understand the castle was in the middle of a lake like that. Like when you guys were getting down to the lake. My favorite part is when I said that you guys zip lined down into the city. You were like, "Why didn't Yara tell us we could have zip lined all the way to Caverna de Luz?" Like it seemed like a pretty useful thing to tell us, but
Yeah, convenient.
it's all right. It's a lot of made up words in lore, Ryan. I understand. I don't even know what I'm talking about half the time. So yeah, you guys did a lot of like dodging the shots, taking some shots. And then when they pulled out the mortar, that was definitely going to blow you guys up. Dax did a really cool thing, pulled out the meteor shot, fired it into the air, and it requires a reflex save to dodge those. And the mortar wasn't good at reflexing. I don't know how to, yeah, he had bad reflex. And he just took it. And then the mortar blew up and it killed a bunch of Kitsune in the process, blew a big hole in the wall. So that might be helpful for later as you're trying to gain access.
Mediocre roll I've ever had. That was like a 14 or something. Like
It worked out well. And then you guys made landfall on the beach, and then a bunch of Kitsune zip lined down on their little grappling hooks, kind of like the one Tuff has, that he fired from the wrist, and they landed on the beach. Now you guys are going to clash with them. And then Jhuls was preparing to enter Caverna de Luz, and then he saw Renard tell him to take shelter and hide, and he was very confused by that, took shelter. And then a bunch of Kitsune were making their way up to the surface, running past him because they sensed the Flora de Vida was there. So good job, Tuff. And then it seemed like a commander of the group stopped the last soldier, said, "Hey, below the tunnel, let's get out of here." And he was like, "Well, Raul is still in there. Why should I do that?" He said, "Raul gave the order." He said, "Okay." So he set a charge, and then they ran off. And then Renard popped around the corner and told Jhuls, come on. Jhuls ran, dove through it, exploded. Tunnel collapsed behind him. Looked up at Renard, and turns out it's not Renard, and he turned into a halfling, and he was sort of ghost-like, and he explained that he is Eddard Mudfoot. Man, lots to say here. I won't recap all of it. Basically, this guy was a keeper, and he is the one who picked Jhuls to be the next keeper. He was passing on his power to Jhuls, but it's clear Jhuls is under some sort of trial, and there's more to figure out.
Papa.
Yeah, and he had to be vague. He's basically talking about how, hey, sorry, us keepers are vague, but there's a reason for that, and you'll find out more later. But for now, I'm here to help you because basically he hates Gothram, and he says Gothram is helping Raul, so he's going to break the rules too and help you. And he pimped out your trident, made it a striking trident, and
I forgot.
Gave you some encouraging words that gave you 20 temporary hit points. And he also sprinkled in some more vague lore about how you wield something called a mythium, which he said he also wields one. And basically it's this kind of vague artistic power, some sort of influential thing that you can draw from that maybe has a singular purpose, can maybe only be used once, and it's used to change the course of history or something like that. And he said this anthem you've been working on about your life, this tune you've been trying to master, he says that is your mythium, and you can't complete it until you fulfill that story. So yeah, just more cool stuff like that. And then he said peace, and he left, and you started making your way into Caverna de Luz.
When you said that he pimped the trident, I just imagine him being
Put
like
a bunch of
"Pimp
little
my
TVs
ride."
on it. Yeah, there's TVs.
Yeah,
on it.
exactly. We heard you like trident,
All
so we
over.
put a trident on your trident.
Trident, bro. There's a TV.
And the worst paint job you can imagine.
Yeah, we're not gonna do anything.
And we
to your
didn't touch
engine.
the insides. The insides are exactly
we
as
put
they
fur on
were.
it.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, you're like, thanks exhibit for the TVs on my trident, and then he disappeared, and you made your way into Caverna de Luz, and that is where we ended our session. But where we're going to start our session is with Waltz, Dax, and Tuff on the beach
Oh, no.
outside the castle. Can you all roll me an athletics check for initiative?
Tough got a 24.
33.
27.
Even when I think I roll well, you guys still beat me.
So, to remind you all, you just made it on the beach. Several kitsune zip line down to meet you. They're in between you and the wall. There's a big hole in the wall, and you're trying to get into the castle. And then there's also gunmen up on top of the wall as well.
We are on the donut right now.
You are in the center of the donut, I think. Is
I
how
thought
we
the
would do that?
Caverna was the center of the donut.
And that'll take us to Waltz. Waltz, you're in the middle of this battle. There are kitsune in front of you. Kitsune on the wall. Chaos, gunfire, weapons being drawn from the ones that just flew down to meet you. What do you do?
All right, Zach or Nesty, do you remember if I had my shield raised? Guys, did I have my shield raised?
Yeah,
Probably
for sure.
not. I mean, you just got out of the boat. The shield
You
was
always
in the
have your
boat.
shield raised, man.
So no,
I
you
think
do
it
not have your
was.
shield raised.
Dang it.
Okay. All right, first I will use electric arc on as many kitsune in front of me as I can.
Dang, dog.
How far apart from each other can they be for that to work?
Range 30 feet. Targets 1 or 2, or if the GM wants to add more targets, totally fine too. Arc of lightning
say
leaps
that out
from
loud.
one
Double check
target
that
to
one real quick.
another. Yeah, it just says an arc leaps from one target to another. So, but like the range is
Yeah,
30
you'd
feet.
be able to hit 2 for sure.
Let me hit 2 of them kitsune.
All right, roll it up.
It's a cantrip. They make a basic
Oh, they make a reflex
save.
save. All right, and what is your save DC? Please know how to find that.
Which save?
Shakes
Oh,
his
for
head.
reflex?
He literally just shakes his head.
Oh,
No, your
yeah.
spell save DC.
Oh.
That's right, you're only level 6. You've only had a Pathfinder podcast for almost 2 years. It's all right.
Spell save DC 20.
All right.
All right. Learn something new every day.
One of them critically failed, and one of them succeeded.
Yes.
So one
Okay.
will take half, and one will take double. Roll up your damage.
9 damage times 2, so 18.
Waltz, the first kitsune that is rushing up to meet you with their sword above their head, yelling, "Ah!" And
Let's
you
go.
lower your shield to the side and then just stick your hand out and fire this bolt that just tears like through his body and instantly just incinerates him. Like you see his skeleton for a second, and then he just explodes, and then the bolt fires through and is about to hit a second one, who raises his sword up to deflect it, but it just still sends sparks down his body, and he's going to take half damage, but you completely annihilated the first one.
Awesome. For
Nice.
my last action, I will raise my shield
Perfect.
into Everstand stance. I think that's one action because when I look at Everstand stance under actions, it just says requirements you are wielding a shield, not that you have it raised. So I think I can just go right into Everstand stance where I hold it with 2 hands.
Sure.
Sure.
Go ahead, Abby. It should say raised if it wants to be specific. But anyway, cool. Waltz, you have done that, and that'll take us to Dax. Great use of your turn.
Let's go, Daxy.
All right, Dax will pull out his striking short sword.
I love how careful you are not to like slur your words with that one, because it's a hard thing to say. Striking short sword. Say it 3 times fast. Striking short sword. Striking short sword.
Nice.
I guess, are there any within melee range of me, or am I going to have to
Yeah,
move
you would have to
get
use
them?
a move action to get into melee range of the closest one. They're all like closing the distance on you.
Sure.
You have about 20 feet between you and them.
Then instead, with his offhand, he will let loose a ray of frost.
All right. You're going to strike the one that just took some damage from...
Yeah, let's do it. Let's knock him out so he can't hit any of us back.
Sounds good.
All right, let's see here. Let's go.
Let's go, Julie.
Ooh, 27 to hit.
That hits regularly.
Nice. 17 cold damage.
Holy cow. Okay, so that Kitsune just dropped their sword after the sparks flew down it, and they were shaking their hand out, and then they reach into the sand to pull their sword back up that was stabbed downward into the sand, lift it up just in time to see another ray coming at them, and they try and roll to the side to get out of the way, but you direct your hand and re-aim it as they're moving, and you catch them in the back, and it just singes over their cloak and ices them over, and then just erupts in a powdery snow and kills the Kitsune.
Nice.
Nice, Taxi.
And that'll take us to one of the Kitsune who just saw his brothers fall in battle almost immediately.
Yeah.
And you see him look up to the wall and says, "What are you doing, you idiots? Fire down. Give us some cover." And he twirls his sword around, and then he is going to sprint towards Dax and raises the sword above his head and is going to slash downward at you. Does a 15 hit you? No, it does not.
No.
And
Nice.
he slashes down. Dax, you simply duck and weave under it, and then it chops into the sand. Some sand flies up, and then he is going to try and reach out with his other hand and grapple you.
Ooh.
Does an 18 beat your reflex DC?
No, it does not.
Dax, he extends his hand to you, and then you just expertly grab his wrist and then twist it, and then get him to duck down on one knee for a moment as you apply pressure, and then just kick him away with your foot, and he stumbles away as he failed to grapple you.
that.
And that'll take us to Tuff.
Nice. How far away are these guys up on the ledge trying to shoot down at us?
You're 60 feet from the wall, and then they're about 20 feet in the air, so about 80 feet from you.
Okay. Well, firstly, upon landing on the shore, I think Tuff just has like smoke pouring out of holes from how many times he was shot on the way in. And he just says, "Holy moly, I think I've been shot more in the last 5 minutes than I have in my whole life. People like shooting at me." And as I'm kind of looking myself over at all these new bullet wounds, I'm going to recognize that potion that we got from the Lago de Paz.
Yep,
And I think my first action is going to be to take that sucker right now.
it's a good call.
How much do I get for that?
So that's going to be one action to draw it and one action to apply it.
Oh, that's dumb, Zach. Don't make me do
Yeah,
that.
yeah, that's how it works.
Okay, well, how much do I get for it?
You get 3d6 plus 6 hit points.
Ooh.
Better be worth it.
It's kind of like getting one of the hearts in Zelda.
Yeah, it's kind of like that. Yeah,
Yeah.
14 plus 6, so I got 20 back total
nice.
for anyone tracking my health at home.
So you pull it out, pop the cork, just sort of pour it over you, and instantly you see it working its way through you and magically healing your body despite your automaton anatomy.
Whoa, that does feel better.
Probably the first time you've enjoyed having water on you.
With my last action, I first just want to call out to the boys and remind them of the plan. Guys, remember, focus is getting to the castle ASAP. And I'd like to aim. Actually, I can't even aim right now, but I do want to take out my many-shafted gun, turn to the revolver, slotting it with the junk bomb.
Awesome. Yeah, you pull it out, you start clicking through the barrels. I'll help you out, Ryan. And
Yeah, thanks.
aligning it. Ryan wanted it to be so cool. Well, it is cool, Ryan.
And then for dramatic effect, I think I'm just going to point it in the direction that'll take us towards the castle at where those enemies are. And then I'm going to say to the boys, and that direction is that way, and point my many-shafted gun and all its shafts and barrels that way.
Sweet.
Hell
Get
yeah.
used to the shafts. That'll take us to two other Kitsune. One is hanging back a little bit, not running up, and they reach into their cloak and they pull out a shard grenade. They stick out their left arm, sort of getting their bearing towards Tuff, and they hold their grenade way back behind them, and they're just going to chuck it with a large arc up in the air towards Tuff. Tuff, can you roll me a reflex save?
Oh, yeah. Not today, buddy. 24.
Oh, seriously?
Oh,
Very
yeah.
nice.
That is a regular success.
Can I use liberating step against that, Zach?
I guess you didn't run up, so you guys should be pretty close to each other. Does it say as long as they're within 5 feet?
Yeah. Do you free an ally from restraint? If the trigger was an ally taking damage, that ally gains resistance to all damage against the triggering damage equal to 2 plus your level.
All right, awesome. Tuff, you just see this grenade arching over the battlefield, and it lands right in front of you.
Look out, buddy.
Oh, gosh. Hey, aim at somebody else for once.
You start to run, and you dive behind some rubble from the exploded wall, and you get behind it, and this massive explosion comes over you, and then you realize you took no damage. And when you look over your shoulder, you realize you weren't completely covered behind the rubble, and it should have hit your arm. And you just see Waltz with his hands extended and his eyes glowing white, and realize there was an aura around you for a brief moment that protected you.
Wow, all right. You being big actually does come in handy.
Every now and then it does, doesn't it?
Yeah.
That kitsune snaps in frustration as they start to dig around in their bag again. And that'll take us to another one that is going to sprint up and attack Waltz as he sees him doing all of this crazy stuff. He's going
Waltz
to
behind you.
swing his sword at you as well. Oh my goodness. 15 does not hit you.
No, not even close. The fact that you would even say 15?
Insulting.
Waltz, your eyes were glowing white as you're protecting Tuff, and then he runs up to you trying to blindside you, and you turn just in time and stick out your hand and just grab his wrist before he swings down, and then just like punch him in the stomach as he stumbles back, and then square up with him, and then he yells, "Ah!" in frustration, and then he is going to try and grapple you as well.
Let's go, tough guy.
Does a 22 beat your reflex DC?
Yes.
All right, he runs and like slides in between your legs and then kicks you in the back of the leg, and you fall to a knee for a moment, and then he sticks his arm around and starts to grab you around the throat as he aims you towards the wall. And you look up and see all these shard rifles glowing as they're aiming down, and the commander on the wall says,
Not good.
Fire!
and you all are about to take a volley. Can you all roll me reflex saves? And Waltz, you're going to roll it with a -2 status penalty from being grappled.
29.
I got a 19.
25.
Dang, seriously?
27
Dang.
minus 2, yeah.
What I did roll really well.
Dang it. Dang it.
I hate when he says that.
Dax, you lower your hand after firing the ice beam and look up just in time to see all of these shots raining down, and you sprint as they're peppering around you and sand is flying up, and you also dive behind some rubble and are able to dodge all of the shots. Waltz, you see them coming at you, and you're wrestling with this kitsune, and you're able to get him off just enough to start to take cover, but you do take some of the shots, and you're going to take 7 damage as you stumble away and kind of raise your shield a little bit too late, but fend off some of the shots. And Tuff, you as well, because you realized you were behind cover for the grenade, but it actually exposed you to the wall, and it took you a while to get to the other side of the rubble, and you are also going to take 7 damage as all these shots rain down.
Ow, 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 ow. I look up at Waltz with like a what the heck look on my face and say, were we on that one?
Sorry, buddy. You got to stay closer.
And that'll take us back to Waltz.
Okay, so I want to try and get away from this guy's grapple.
All right, yeah, after you kind of stumbled away and got your shield up just enough to block it, you realize he came up behind you and sort of grabbed onto you again, because mechanically he never stopped grappling you. So yes, you will need to attempt to escape.
17.
All right, that is actually exactly enough. So as he grabs back onto
nice.
you swing your hand with the shield on it and just kind of come down into his neck with the top of your shield and bash it into him, and it makes
Nice.
him let go as his arm becomes numb for a moment as he shakes it out, and you are free of his grapple.
Get off me, punk.
Man, Waltz is blowing up Kitsune. He's just not having it right now.
With both hands on my shield, I will swing it down at this kitsune.
Oh, heck yeah.
Dang, all right.
Using Everstand Strike. Zach.
All right.
Dang it. 19.
That hits.
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay, so that'll do 8 damage.
All right, you swing and bash the shield hard. It crunches on their head, crunches on their shoulder. They stumble backwards, You see blood sort of trickling down into their fur from the top of their head, and he wanes back and forth a little bit, but he is still up.
Okay, with that, since I connected with that, Everstand Strike says that I can use that as a shield raise action as well. So I'll use my last action to just move forward. I just kind of want to start moving towards the opening in the wall and moving us forward. My movement speed is 30.
All right. You start trudging forward in the sand, running through some of the gunfire and some of the chaos, making your way towards the opening.
Let's go Tuff.
You get about
That's what I
halfway
said.
there, and that'll take us back to Dax.
Let's go Dexy.
All right. Am I currently adjacent to an enemy right now?
Yeah, one ran up and swung his sword at you, so you're
That's
right
what I
next to
thought.
one.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, then I am going to use my scamper action, which is effectively just a stride action, but I get plus 5 feet of movement speed, and I gain a plus 2 circumstance bonus against reactions triggered by movement.
Nice.
So I will do that, which will move me 30 feet, and then I
Nice.
will use my second action to move an additional 25, so 55.
Wow.
And then I'll use my last action to try to take cover into some of this rubble that I'm in the midst of.
Yeah, Dax, you move very close to the wall, like very close to where this opening is from the explosion. You know another volley might come, so after you sprint up, you dive and put your back up against it, cutting off the angle for many of the Kitsune up on the wall. You know you're still somewhat exposed, but this is going to help you a lot for the next volley. And that'll take us to one of the Kitsune, the one that Waltz just bashed with his shield, who is stumbling from side to side, sees Waltz running off, and then he is going to fire his grapple out at Waltz and try and restrain him as he's running away.
What the heck? Why would he do that?
Waltz, can you roll me a reflex save?
Absolutely, I can. GM Zachary ST. 14.
Nice. Waltz, you're sprinting off. You see Dax flying past you. You're trying to run faster. Your pecs bouncing as sand is flying up around you. And all of a sudden, a grapple wraps around your feet and you fall flat on your face with your ankles tight together. Roll over on your back and see the Kitsune with the grapple around your ankles, holding it tight up to his chin, laughing at you. You fool. And that
I don't like that
will take
guy.
us to Tuff.
Let's go Tuffy boy.
Well, first things first, and I'm going to open up my forearm compartment. I'm going to flip the switch, get some gizmos firing up, and I'm going to activate my overdrive.
Oh, heck yeah, dude.
So yeah, for the overdrive, I have to roll a crafting check against a standard DC for my level.
Okay, that would be a 22 for level 6.
Dang it. Oh, wait. I did math wrong. 17 plus 15. Is that 32?
Yes.
I just got it.
Oh, it's a crit. Nice. All right.
Dang. All right. Yeah. I thought I got a 31 for a second, but, I didn't do well in any of my math classes. So yeah, critical success means that my strikes now deal an additional damage equal to my intelligence modifier for a whole minute.
Wow.
Nice.
Because Tuff is so smart, my intelligence modifier is +4, so I'll be doing a 4 extra damage.
If only
each of my-
Ryan was so smart.
Yeah, if only I could add, right?
So Tuff, this is like when you tried to go into overdrive when you were fighting El Yara, but it was the first time you were channeling Flora Devita power through your body, and it burst and it didn't work. So you did your best to remember that. You refined the dial a little bit. You're a little more in tune with how that's working. And your whole body starts to go blue. Your eyes glow blue, the Flora Devita blue. And you feel this power surging through you. You feel great.
Yes! So this is what it feels like. You guys are screwed now. I'm gonna assume that additional damage to my strikes is also going to apply to my bombs.
Sure, why not?
Okay, sweet. So then I'm going to pull out my many-shafted gun. It is synced with my body, so blue infusions of light that are blasting out from me are also infusing into my many-shafted gun now as well.
Wow.
And I'm going to point at the 3 Kitsune between me and the other fellas. I'm going to say, bye-bye, and I'm going to blast a jump bomb off at them.
Sayonara.
Yeah, you'd be able to hit the one that grappled Waltz and another one, but not the one that threw the grenade.
Okay, yeah, I definitely want to hit the one that is grappling Waltz.
Okay.
The bomb deals 2d8 slashing damage, 2 persistent bleed damage, and 2 slashing splash damage.
Nice.
Plus 4 from me being so smart.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
Come on, sweet baby. Nat 20, suckers!
Nice. Take that, Zach and Misty.
All right. Well, that is definitely a critical. So roll me a
corn-fed
double.
Yetis.
Roll me that double damage.
Okay. All right, remind me how I do the double damage for this.
You're gonna roll 4d8.
Oh, well, I got 1 on the first one.
Okay. Good start. Good start.
Okay,
Let's go
8 on
then.
the second one.
Oh, that's 9.
7 is 16. Another 7 is 23. Plus 4.
Mm-hmm.
Plus 2 bleed damage. Plus 2 slashing splash damage.
29, 31.
Cannoli.
Well,
Wow.
you roll over on your back to see who just grappled you and see that Kitsune smirking at you, and then all of a sudden they just explode in this like blood splatter, like just nothing left of them, like just all this goop just like flies on your face. There's just a burnt ash mark in the ground, and the Kitsune next to him is like hunched over as shrapnel flies at them, and they get sliced and they're bleeding all over. Oh my goodness! And
Tuff, that's
you just
disgusting.
see Tuff standing there behind him with like a smoking shaft as there's nothing left of the Kitsune in between both of you.
I want to blow the smoke off of the barrel of that gun, shaft of that gun. And I want to say, nobody messes with my dummy but me.
Oh, thanks, buddy.
All right, let's get going.
Is that the end of your turn, Tuff?
That is not the end of my turn. I want to use my final action to do a long jump with my blast boots, which takes me only 1 action because of my amazing feat, and I'm going to blast boots horizontally 30 feet to catch up to Waltz and Dax.
Oh, nice. Okay, so that's going to
Thanks.
catch you up to Waltz, but Dax is still about 25 feet ahead of you guys.
Okay.
So your boots ignite, you fly forward, sending sand into the air, soar over the 2 Kitsune in between each of you, and you land on the ground next to Waltz, maybe stick out a hand to try and help him up after you've freed him, help him to his feet. And Waltz, you see over Tuff's shoulder the 2 Kitsune he passed looking at each other, and they're thinking about how you just went into overdrive and glowed blue with Flora de Vida energy, which they certainly sense, and they say, "It's him! It's him!" And they point at him. He is the one! He has the Flora de Vida! And everyone up on the wall are looking towards each other and calling out to one another and loading their shard rifles, and the 2 of them sprint up to you, and they're both going to try and grapple you, Tuff.
Oh no, you caught me. I have the Flora de Vida.
The spoon, the source of my power.
Yeah, spoon energy.
Does a 27 critically succeed against your reflex DC?
It does not critically, no.
Okay.
I will use Liberating Step.
What does that do?
Trigger an enemy damages, grabs, or restrains your ally, and both are in your champion's aura. You free an ally from restraint.
Yeah, what do you think of that,
heck
Zach?
Yeah. Okay.
Nice.
The first
Let's
one
go.
sprints up and goes to try and grab Tuff. Tuff, you whip out your retractable tail and just slap his wrist, and it redirects his grab as he swipes at air. And then the
Hey,
second
pause
one runs up with both hands and is going to try and grab you. And all of a sudden, a shield swipes over your head and just bashes into the Kitsune in the chest as he stumbles backwards as Waltz defends you from this grappling attempt with his liberating step.
Hey, didn't you hear the little cat? Hands off, pal.
You are much more handy than I gave you credit for.
Thanks, buddy.
And can everyone roll me a reflex DC? Dax, you can roll it with a +4 circumstance bonus from your cover.
Tuff got a 28.
So did
All right.
Dax.
Oh,
27.
twinsies.
27, Zach.
All right.
Can't wait to edit that sound.
Waltz, as you're defending Tuff with the shield bash, your back was turned to the wall as the volley comes down, and you're going to take half damage, which is 6, as some of them pepper you in the back, and you get spun around and raise your shield again and defend yourself from the rest. Tuff, you are just sick and tired of being shot, and you are just like hopping through the air like little spurts with your rocket boots, getting up in the air, just dodging them as you hop around, and then get behind Waltz once he's prepared with his shield and defend yourself from the rest. Dax, you are securely covered behind the rubble as they're just flying down after you, and As the volley ceases, you wait for the brief silence to know you can continue forward, and you hear it for just a brief second, and then all of a sudden you hear lightning rumble and a loud roar ripple over the battlefield as all the kitsune look into the mist with a big smile on their face, and you hear heavy wings flapping that are causing the mist to part and vaguely reveal a dark shadow of a merkbane that's soaring over the lake, churning up water, creating waves as it flies towards you, and its wings are glowing blue as it's darting forward with unnatural speed, and you realize you're also hearing the gargles and snarls and roars of undead. And as it starts to dip lower, you can see the silhouette is irregular as there are undead riding atop of this merkbane, and it soars over each of you and then tips its wings as a bunch of zombies just slide recklessly off its wings and then just start to pile onto the battlefield very close to Dax,
Guys,
who is
can
right up on
Zach
the
even
wall
do that?
as it's trying to plug the hole in the wall, and then it lands atop of the castle heavily and lets out a roar that reinvigorates the kitsune as they raise their rifles into the air and yell out, chanting and applauding as they feel like they're able to defend this castle now despite all you have done. You see the merkbane resting. You can tell it went through a lot to get here, even that speed burst.
Yeah, how many actions was that?
And the zombies raise up to their feet, their necks snapping into place after they just fell perhaps 50 feet off of this merkbane in between you, Dax. They are starting to surround you. You guys have about 30 feet between you and them, and then suddenly a arrow flies through the air towards Tuff and erupts just before him as this sparkling mist rains down on top of him, and then he begins to illuminate, and you look up and see the Kitsune commander lowering a bow and says, "He is the one! Kill him!" And all the zombies turn their head and start to trudge towards you.
What?
And with that, we'll cut
I
over
knew you were going to do that.
Jhuls.
Literally, as soon as I think
Holy
stuff is like
crap.
going well, and we're like, dang, we're making stuff happen, you do that
Every time. That's why I don't bother making plans for battles anymore, because
Right. Yeah, what would have been the point? We would just get zombies dumped on top of our heads.
Just got to get through the hole, man. You guys can do it. I believe in you.
If you say so.
All right. Jhuls. So you are wielding your new trident. You are imbued with confidence and power that you did not have before. You feel great as you're stepping into Caverna de Luz. Can you roll me a perception check?
27.
You crouch down by the opening, maybe behind a rock, and just peer your head around and look out into what is undoubtedly the cavern. You can hear the sound of a waterfall yet again. You can tell the cavern up ahead is circular, and you can tell that the part you are going to enter appears to be high up in the air. You sort of hear echoes resonating from within. And you can see straight ahead, if you were to enter this cavern, you are going to be walking onto a very thin bridge of stone, about 5 feet wide, that it extends to the other side of the cavern. And briefly, what you can see just through the opening, it looks like it starts to spiral down and then descend further in the other direction, kind of like a cascading looking land bridge. You don't have the full scope of all the details yet, but then also just sort of aimlessly wandering around on this bridge, you see an undead guarding this passageway, looking towards you, but obviously can't see you yet.
Do I have Diego with me?
Yep.
Phew.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, that could have been really bad.
Disastrous.
Yeah.
No, you accidentally sat on him.
Oh, crap. Did that happen
Diego?
off
Diego.
off podcast? Okay. I turn around, lean up against the rock. Diego, my friend,
Yes, what is it?
I need your help.
I've done so much already for you.
Just one more favor, I promise. I lift him around the rock. Do you see that undead creature there?
Yes, he is like the one who was
playing cards like an idiot with the other kitsune.
Yes, exactly. I need you to create a distraction. If you could go past him and get his attention so that he's facing away from where we currently are. Could you do that?
Of course I can do it. I can literally swim up waterfalls, you fool. This is a simple task.
Then I expect you to execute it perfectly.
He puffs his chest out, looks very proud,
Very well.
and he hops off of your shoulder, stands down, and just sort of like struts out there with his chest out and his arms to his side, standing like completely upright. And then as he approaches it, he gets down on all fours and scurries underneath the undead's legs without him realizing it, and appears on the other side. And then he picks up a little pebble and he just throws it at the back of the undead, and it just kind of hits him in the head, and he doesn't even really notice.
Darn you.
You just hear little squeaks. Like throws another pebble, hits the undead again, still doesn't work. And then you see Diego just looking around, very confused, and kind of does like a here goes nothing look. And then he just runs up his leg and like gets on top of his head and then just like bites into the top of this undead's head. And it starts to like swipe up in the air and just sort of spin around and look in random directions and just twirling, trying to figure out what's on his head. And you hear Diego call out,
Now, Jhuls, now.
Wasn't quite what I was expecting, but also what I should have expected.
yes.
Jhuls will maybe try to find a moment where he's not facing him to just give him some, a few brief seconds of catching up. And as he's running up, he wants to take his trident out, and he will kind of stab it into the ground at this undead's feet as leverage and hoist him up to try to push him off the bridge.
All right. Can you roll me an athletics check for a shove?
Shove him.
Get him off there.
That is a 15.
Ooh.
Could have been higher.
Could have been lower.
Jhuls, you sprint down the land bridge as he's twirling around, and you see he's disoriented. Maybe he noticed you at some point when he was spinning, but you can't really tell. And you go to stab the trident under his feet and just tip him off balance. And as you go to stab forward, you feel another arm just grab you on the back of the shoulder and spin you around. And you realize you ran past another undead just around the corner of the opening that seemed to be laying in ambush, and he lets out a loud roar. This is a big orc undead, and the one you were going to try and tip turns around as well, and you realize you're now in between two undead. Can you roll me initiative?
I
Whoopsies.
will. I can do that for you, Zach.
And we'll do athletics since you were trying to shove.
Okay.
Can I aid?
Yeah, can Joel aid me?
Yeah, me too.
Yeah,
And
you can
Ryan?
send positive vibes from up above,
Yeah.
because that's definitely what you're thinking about right now up there.
Good vibes.
I got a 24.
All right, you get to go first. You are in between an orc undead and a human undead. The orc undead certainly looks more formidable.
I want to make a perception check and look for the waterfall that I hear,
Okay.
and then see where that's dropping and if there is water below and how far that water is down.
Okay, I would say that is a lot you need to observe about the room, so I would say that's 2 perception checks. Like, if you just want to see how far the waterfall is, that's one thing, but it sounds like you want to survey the room and the thread and, like, everything you're dealing with. So, if you want to do that, I'd say 2 perception checks.
That's fine, Zach. I will do 2
Alright.
perception checks.
You can roll one, you could roll one, but it's going to take 2 actions to do all that.
That's a 23.
Cool.
That didn't
Alright.
sound convincing, but that's what it
I
was.
feel like you're doing kind of like the Will Turner thing where he get, like kind of like looks up and then down at the person, like realizing what he's dealing with, and then sort of like spins side to side to figure out the situation you're now in. And you get your bearings of this cavern. So you feel like you're about 100 feet up in the air from the base of this cavern. You can't quite get a feel for everything that's down there. That's just a lot to search, and it's pretty far away. But as you're searching around, you can tell that this room is about 50 by 50 feet, but roughly circular. And you're in the center, so each wall is 25 feet away from you. And as you peer down, you see that these land bridges that descend, there are 4 of them to work all their way down, alternating direction on their way down. And they're about 25 feet elevated from one another. So to drop to one is 25 feet, but could be hard to land on because of how thin they are. And the waterfall is against the wall, so 25 feet away. So even to get to the waterfall is a big jump, and it's a risky jump, and if you fail it, then you could fall 100 feet from this height. So that is the situation you are in. What do you want to do with your third action?
I'm going to cast shield on myself.
All right. That's a 1-action spell.
Yep. It's a cantrip.
Okay. What does it add to your AC?
+1.
Okay. So you realize you, at least in this present moment, need to fight past these undead. Anything else feels a little too risky in this moment, and that will take us to the undead orc that lifts up a club and is going to swing it down and try and crack it on top of your head. Oh my gosh. Can you roll me a percentage die?
Oh gosh, I hate when that happens. Or maybe it's a good thing, I don't know. 68.
All right. He nat 1'd. And he goes to swing down, and it just bounces off the magical shield you created as sparks fly. And the orc stumbles back for a moment and then drops its club as it falls all the way down.
Yes.
You hear it just splash into some water, perhaps hit a rock or two. And he no longer has weapons, and I will have that use up the entirety of his turn. If you rolled a little bit better, I would have had him just slip off of the ledge. And that'll take us to the undead human that is behind you, that is going to try and shove you in the back while you're dealing with him and try and get you to fall off of this bridge. Does a 17 beat your fortitude DC?
So it says +11. Is that 10 + 11?
That's
Oh, so that'd be
21.
21.
Okay. So no, it does not.
He goes to shove you, and you duck under his arms as he swipes at air and then spin around and face this undead human that is then going to try and lash out at you with his claws. Does an 18 beat your AC?
Nope.
All right, you raise up your trident and slash their hand out of the way, maybe cutting across their palm as blood drips down, and then it quickly heals in front of you. That'll take us back to you.
Okay. What's Diego doing?
Diego is hopping around on the ground saying, "Go on, get him, get him!"
Okay.
And you feel like maybe he's been punching the undead like in the foot, and it just hasn't been noticing the entire time.
Keep at it, Diego.
I am. I will never surrender. For Carlos.
For Carlos. With my new trident, I'll just attack the humans right in front of me. You said.
Yep.
I will try to stab him with this new trident.
All right, roll it up.
Rolled it up. A 23.
That hits.
Yeah. Let's see what this sucker does.
That's 2d8 plus 2 damage, which is 11 damage.
All right. You already spun around to face the human, slashed at its claws to block the attack. You spin the trident behind you, and then you swoop down low with it and stab it in its stomach, and then lift it up in the air above your head, the waterfall behind you, making you look super cool in the silhouette. And then you just toss the human undead off to the side as its stomach rips open and it twirls through the air. You hear it hit some of the land bridges on its way down, its bones crunching, and then it falls to the ground and splats.
Awesome. That's one action, right?
Yeah.
Sweet. I'll turn to the big orc and I'll spin my trident and I'll say, "Bring it on." And then I'll throw the trident at him.
Oh, dang.
Heck yeah.
29 minus 5, so 24.
All right. That is a regular hit.
12 damage.
You hurl the trident at him at like point blank range, basically, and it stabs into his chest and out his back. And he stumbles looking confused and just looks down at it and is waning back and forth as black ooze is dripping down onto the land bridge from its chest. And instead of using your returning rune, you literally just reach out and grab the very end of it with your hand and pull it back out and twirl it and square up with him again. He is still alive, undead alive. Are you out of actions?
I have one more. I think I'll just cast shield on myself again.
All right. And that'll take us back to this orc who no longer has a weapon and is definitely going to try and shove you off the land bridge. And that definitely misses. So you duck under his swipes, appear on the other side of him, and then he's going to flail his arm back around and try and do it again with a multi-attack penalty.
All right.
Does a 19 beat your fortitude DC?
No, it does
All right.
not.
tries again. You dodge him once again, and then he's going to let out a loud roar and try and demoralize you. Does a 21 beat your fortitude DC?
It meets.
All right, so it does. And you are regular demoralized, so you're going to take a -1 status penalty to your next attack roll and your AC next round. As you feel like this one is definitely a lot tougher, didn't go down from your first strike, and you can tell he's clearly trying to shove you off this land bridge, and if he succeeds, you may fall to your death. I'll take us back to you. What do you do?
I will point my finger at him in a gun shape, and I will shoot out a phase bolt.
Okay.
It's been a while since I've done this. So
It's been a while.
range spell attack. Whoopsie.
Did you nat one?
That's a nat one.
Okay.
Oh,
Roll
hero
me a
point.
percentage die. Oh, you
Hero
can use your
point.
hero point if you want.
I'm gonna use.
If you wanna
I
use
still
it.
got one more too. So,
Okay.
well, it's not a nat 1, but that's a 3. So that's a 14.
Okay. You go to fire out the bolt and it lets out another roar. It's like sprinting towards you, and it closes the distance way faster than you thought, and it grabs your wrist and aims your hand into the air, and you fire out the bolt, and it goes upwards into this massive cavern and hits somewhere high up on the roof, and you just see a few rocks rain down and fall all the way down to the bottom of the cavern, but you missed your shot.
Okay.
You have one action left.
I do. I'll cast shield again.
All right.
Unless I can like ready some sort of.
You could try and shove him too. You still have shove.
Oh,
It'd take
yeah, I'll do
It would
that.
take a multi-attack penalty, but you could do it.
I'll do that. Why not?
Okay.
It's a 19.
All right. Your hand is in the air. He's grabbing your wrist like it is a gun, and you guys are sort of wrestling over that as you fired it into the air. And then you realize you have him in close proximity and hook your foot behind his wrist and then just kick, and he sweeps off of his feet and then lands on his back, and it just clips the edge of the land bridge, and he tips backwards, and as he's falling down, his head just barely catches the other land bridge, and you hear his neck snap back as he flips all the way and
Jeez.
falls into the cavern and then splats on the ground again. And you're maybe on your back at this moment as you did like a John Wick takedown, and you're breathing kind of heavy, and then start to roll over and get on one knee and stand back up. And as you stand up and face the other end of the land bridge, you hear a familiar sound like Tuff's rocket boots, and instead see Raul with what looks like a Dracus-style Voshek jetpack on his back, and he lands on the edge of the land bridge with his head tilted. You also notice a wrist grappler on his forearm, and he smirks at you and looks down into the abyss and says, "Not bad at all.
You want to go next?
Why else would I be here? Finally, the true bearer of the Flora de Vita has revealed themselves."
And he looks to the pouch at your side.
The diversion is a nice trick, but one that Reynard already pulled, I am afraid.
Jhuls will take the pouch and tuck it inside his waist wrap and give it a little pat. Maybe hearing some booms and chaos happening up above, Jhuls will look up at that and will say, "Well, it appears to me it's worked for a second time."
He chuckles and he reaches into his cloak and pulls out a cigar and lights it up, and then is sort of talking out of the side of his mouth. And he says,
I wouldn't speak too soon. Are you sure you want to defeat me, Azerketi? If you succeed here, the blood of Keldora will be on your hands.
I believe your mind has been misguided.
he takes a long drag of his cigar and kind of pulls it out, and he chuckles. And just knowing how he talked to Renard, like from a meta perspective, he just feels like he genuinely is the only one that really understands anything, and everyone else is just lost themselves. So he would expect you to say something like that. And he says,
What is your name, amigo?
My name is Jhuls.
Well, Jhuls, do you know of the Fade?
You're referring to the plague that ravaged Mortiphar.
Yes. In its simplest form, the Fade was an infection. The infected would first detect it by an increasingly transparent limb. If you were lucky, the limb would be inessential, affording you the chance to amputate it before it spread beyond containment. Wait too long, and you would merely fade out of existence. Sure, if you are optimistic, you might seek a cure instead. But what if one does not exist, and your optimism becomes the death of you? What is a limb to a life? Now tell me, Jhuls, if you were infected with the Fade, what would you do?
I'm sorry, why are we talking about this? What does this have anything to do with the Fleur de Vida and the fate of Keldora?
Humor me, Jhuls.
And he squints at you.
What would I do if I was infected with the Fade?
Yes. Would you amputate a limb, or would you let it consume you as you search for a cure?
He looks at your ocarina at your side.
I see you are one for theatrics, perhaps. Humor me.
I suppose I'd search for a cure.
Ah, the optimist. The Fade would have claimed your life, I'm afraid. You see, Keldora is infected, Jhuls, and Lorthal is the limb. We are fortunate to have a chance to amputate it, but this is our only chance. You may think you are a hero fighting for Lorthal, but really, you are a coward who lacks the spine to save the rest of the body, and you naively hope for a cure that does not exist.
Without hope, we cannot succeed in anything in life, big or small. If we're to throw in the towel because something seems too hard or impossible, then we never achieve greatness.
He tilts his head back while he takes a drag of the cigar and then laughs to himself again.
You sound just like them.
The keepers, as he squints, looking at you. You surf? Because he saw you guys go through the node before.
Have had centuries to stop what is coming. They kept thinking the next disciple would be the cure, but now we are out of time. Fortunately, Gotham is not bound by their ignorance and is willing to do what must be done, and you will not stop that. All the hope in the world will not stop that.
All I know is my sense of right and wrong. And right now, Raul, you're wrong.
He smirks, like you can tell he almost likes you in this moment, and he's a little bit excited about what is about to happen. And he bows his head towards you out of respect, and then reaches his hand for his sword and says,
Very well. Now, do not make the same mistake as Renard, and give me everything you have, Jhuls. This is my last dance, for we both shall die here this day, and I want it to be a good one.
And he pulls the sword out and stands tall.
What do you know of Renard? And what do you mean by he didn't give his all?
He was not trying to kill me, so I killed him.
Jhuls grips his trident a little tighter. Maybe I think he even puts it behind his back and takes out his ocarina and stands confidently but calmly. And he says, Raul, I pity you. You truly do believe in a lie because Renard surely gave his everything. And you have lost your faith in your friends. And Jhuls will prepare to fight.
Raul tilts his head and says,
You sound just like him. And now you will die just like him.
And that is where we'll end our session.
You go straight to heck, Raul.
Son of a
Storm
gun.
in the
heck is
castle,
Raul
Merc
talking
Nation,
about?
You know what, guys?
Face off.
I could
I don't
kill
know
him.
what's going on.
I could just
Yeah, you
kill
could.
him.
You could, but
You could.
Adam, there's something you gotta
Yeah.
do first. Adam.
Oh, what
there's
is it,
something you
Zach?
gotta do
If
first.
you could just tell
Does
me.
anyone want to take a
instead of
guess?
Just,
Hey, Ryan, what do you think it is that Adam should do? What do you think?
I
Adam
don't
I
want
don't
to
like
say
guessing.
it. I don't want to
Come
be
on,
ready.
Ryan,
Just
Ryan.
tell
Ryan,
me.
go
Yeah,
ahead,
don't
say
do
it.
it.
Because I have no
say it,
clue
Ryan.
what you're even
Adam
going to
is my
say.
friend. Don't
Okay.
say
I
it,
could
Ryan.
beat him.
Okay,
Yes,
so
I
Ryan's
could
a
kill
coward.
him.
What about you, Taryn? What do you
Zach,
think I should say?
Zach, no.
I could kill him. What else could I do? I don't know what else. I don't really want to do.
What about you,
anything
Joel?
else.
What do you think I should tell Adam?
I think
do
you
you
should
think I
tell
should
him how
do?
beautiful his eyes are.
Okay, you guys are all idiots.
That
This is
would
why
be
you guys couldn't possibly be the GM. You don't understand. You don't understand the burden ideal. I have to tell you. Okay, you know what? Shut up, because we're gonna talk about downtime.
Zachary.
This is where
You
we
sound like
react to the
Raul.
most recent episode.
It hurt more
Exactly.
that time than
All
other
right.
times.
Oh,
You know what? Yeah, well,
I've
yeah,
got
that's why I gotta
heartburn
drag it
now,
out
you
sometimes.
jerk.
I think you guys
Oh.
get too used to me getting it over with, but sometimes I really want you to just like anticipate it,
Oh,
and
yeah.
dread it. All right, let us read comments.
Let us read.
From the
Everyone
internet.
got a
Regarding the
book.
show. Don't worry. It's regarding the show.
I know how to
a
read.
chapter.
I'm not just diving into the depths of Reddit and things like that. That's a scary place to just randomly start reading. Let's do a Reddit comment. I haven't read a Reddit comment in a while. I saw one pop up today. Somebody made a post and they said, any good actual place? And then somewhere in the description, they're like, I kind of want something homebrew. So I'm glad some people swooped in and mentioned our show. OMG, it's Blabo said Mortals and Portals. And then they recommended some other shows too. But thank you for recommending our show first. First. All right. Next time, just no, I'm just kidding. You can recommend other shows.
Whoa.
And then there was also some more comments about, there's more. Wow, this just happened. El Dorado said Mortals and Portals with an exclamation point. I love it. Thank you, bro. And then there was another one. I'm trying to get to a specific one I saw today. They're actually from our Discord, and I think this is the person that was making. Yeah, it's they've been making all the memes, so you should check out our Reddit because they've released a meme for every episode. They swooped in and replied to that comment and said, "Came here to say this: insanely good production quality relative to their size." I would agree. Great characters / cast, chemistry, etc. So let your imagination run wild with etc. There's so many other things that we could be great at. And they said, just all in all, a really good podcast. Thank you guys for rallying anytime someone puts a post about podcast recommendations. Always see a little bit of bump in downloads that day. So anytime you guys do that, it really helps out the show. And it makes us feel good. And sometimes we need that after I tell them to shut up, because I sense they get a little down in the dumps.
That doesn't feel good.
Yeah. Thank you guys for doing that.
Etc.
And we started that tradition. See you next time, mortals, etc.
Bye-bye.
I rolled a 19 on that though, and I have high athletics.
Hey, you sound like Taryn.
Yeah, you sound like a
Taryn
robot.
sounds like a robot.
Yeah, Taryn, you suck.
Shit.
Oh, shit. Is your mic plugged in like all the way? I don't know anything weird like that.
It's still not working well.
No, you still sound like a robot.
What about now?
Yeah, you sound like a robot, but further away from your mic.
What the hell?
It's not distance related.
I've been too close the whole time.
Yeah, this mic has a weird quirk. When you're too close, you sound like a robot. I kind of hope he sounds like a robot on the recording just for the proof.